LiveLeak.com welcomes Texas Congressman and Republican presidential candidate Ron Paul to the program. Ron, I know you have a very busy schedule right now, and I want to thank you for taking the time out to do this interview.
Thank you. It's nice to be with you.
Now, the New York Times had a piece about you there on Sunday, and they referred to your followers as wackos. How do you respond to that?
Well, you know, the other thing is they say we're the extremists and the radicals. But if you look at it, we see that the people who have taken over our country and over our government as being, you know, out of the mainstream and the extremists because they do so many things that have never been authorized by the Constitution. So they have radically destroyed our rights and our privacy, and they've unhinged us with a foreign policy and our monetary policy and tax policy. So we see ourselves as being mainstream and that we're trying to get control back from those who have radicalized our government.
So you think it would be fair then to call George Bush a radical?
Well, I think our government for 100 years has radically departed from the intent of the Constitution and limited government. So whether it's George Bush or Bill Clinton or whoever, over these many years, they have really radically undermined our rights and the rule of law.
Now, you've voted no all the way down the line when it comes to the war in Iraq. You have consistently been against the war in Iraq. Do you foresee, with the way that the shift is going here in the Senate and in the Congress, do you foresee any circumstances which you would support the impeachment of President Bush?
Oh, I think if it was proved that he lied about it, certainly he should be impeached. I mean, people died.
Yeah.
But right now, I think the most anybody can say is that, you know, he's used real bad judgment. He's had bad advisors, but if there was a deliberate effort to lie us into war, I mean, obviously that would be impeachable.
So you see no evidence now to suggest that there were any real lies behind the push to the war in Iraq?
I just think that people don't know that answer, and I don't think it's been adequately investigated. But there certainly has been hints that there's been, you know, cover-up and distortion of the intelligence gathering, and just who did it, you know, it could have been in the vice president's office for all we know. But I don't think anybody knows the answer, but I think it deserves an investigation.
Okay. Speaking of investigations, you know, I think a lot of people can grab a lot of the ideas you do. The things that you believe in, a lot of them are very broad and mainstream. But my question to you would be, why do you entertain all the nonsense and all the questions from this 9/11 conspiracy crowd?
Well, I think your question is very biased because I don't.
Well,
I think you based your questions quite erroneously.
Okay, so let's just go here with I have an audio clip of you speaking with, and to be fair, you didn't know who you were speaking with when this interview came across here. A lot of times at the meetups that you do and things, you just come across random people. And the guy who you were talking with was from a group called the Student Scholars for 9/11 Truth. And I want to play an audio clip for you of that conversation. Bear with me here because this is recorded at a party, so it's a little difficult to hear what's going on, but I'll give you a sort of a transcript version right after I play this.
And, you know, we've heard that you have questions. Well, I never automatically investigate.
And the student said to you, "We've heard that you have questioned the government's official account referring to September 11th, and you responded, well, I never automatically trust anything the government does when they do an investigation because too often I think there's an area that the government covered up, whether it's the Kennedy assassination or whatever. Do you believe that there was some kind of cover-up in the September 11th investigation?"
Well, I think that's a perfectly logical answer because I do question most everything the government does philosophically, and they do tend to protect themselves. So if there is an investigation, say there's an investigation on why they've messed up on Katrina, I mean, do you think they're going to expose where the real ineptness is? I mean, so assassinations, they do the same thing, and in 9/11, they sort of protect themselves to show where they might have goofed up. So I think this is very natural. That's the natural instinct of all governments. So but that is a far cry from what you've insinuated by saying that I endorse the idea the government had something to do with 9/11. So I think that's quite unfair on the way you worded your question.
Okay, well, we'll get down into this because I don't want to just throw something at you. I'm saying that there is an overall perception among these people. They at least think that you have some kind of inkling that 9/11 was covered up somehow. There was some kind of inside job, as they say. Let me ask you flat out, do you think, or do you have any evidence at all to suggest that 9/11 was anything other than the official storyline?
No, I have no reason to think that, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't find out where we fell short. So once again, I think it's your same innuendos that you're using.
Okay, I just think that there's an overall perception of your thoughts.
But you know what you're saying. There's a perception by people who support me. Do you think every single candidate knows every single personal belief of every person that supports you? That's a preposterous idea. We don't know what they think, and I'm not responsible for them. They're responsible for endorsing my views.
Sure, I
so
think
they can't put words in my mouth, and neither should you.
I'm not trying to do that. That's why I'll play these audio clips here. But my suggestion would just to be to speak frankly with these people. And you may say you are, but I'm saying that they're speaking to you, and then they're using these snippets. Here's another one right here.
You wouldn't be the only one.
It'd be bipartisan. Yeah, and I work with them. It's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of these issues.
So would you advocate for a new investigation?
Yes, I think you have to look at the details of it. You know, investigations are investigations, and most of the time they're cover-ups. There could be a better investigation because there's a split in government.